Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon. The sun is just breaking through a heavy blanket of clouds here in the northeast corner of what is normally sunny South Africa. This is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And a very special welcome, of course, to the three schools, Anthony Burns, Bartlett Community Partnership School, and Pembroke Meadows. I am so very happy I remembered those, and I'm so very happy that you are joining us on Safari for the next 45 minutes. My name is James, and on camera today is Craig. Craig looks like Batman, can you believe it? It's a pity you won't see him. He'll be filming me and hopefully a lot of animals during the course of the afternoon. It's morning where you are, of course. Tayla is the other person out at the moment. She's driving around, hopefully going to find you some leopards. We're going to try and find some lions, but on the way we'll find all sorts of other interesting things as we go. And you must please ask us as many questions as you want. Just tell your teacher what to ask us, and we will then do our best to answer them. If we don't know, well, who knows who does. Let's head straight across to Tayla. She is looking for leopards and she'll tell you about what to look out for.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome back to, of course, Safari Live on this wonderful afternoon for a sunset safari. My name is, now I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me this fine afternoon is excuse me, okay, is VM. Sorry, VM. I made him hold his hand out for ages before he could do his thumbs up. And well, yes, and there's obviously something in the air at the moment that is tickling our sinuses and making us all do lots and lots of sneezing. But we are bumbling about and we're very excited on this fine afternoon. Now we, of course, are looking for leopards, as James said. Will we find them? I don't know. Only time will tell. But as we are bumbling around here, just making sure that there's no difference. Right. Game now, which is quite exciting as well. Is it the week? It's not the weekend yet, have you? It is Thursday. It sounds like a lot of people are coming down from the cities to come and stay at their holiday homes in Buffelshoek, which is quite nice to see all those happy faces and hopefully to see some happy leopard faces. Tayla, thank you for saying. I actually had to think of that as Rebecca fed that question through my ear, because I thought that, but obviously not. I forget. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I did a safari on Safari Live. I sneeze all the time, don't I? Now it seems as though there's a couple of gremlins along this patch, so we're going to race on through it, head towards the last position. But while I do that, I'm going to see how his search for the lions is going.
Well, I haven't got very far just yet. We're heading now to the south, and we're going to turn to the west very soon. Woo! There's our very first animal of the day. Do you see it, Craig? It's not a bat, but it is an impala that is trying to hide from us. Stop hiding from us, Impala. It's very rude. It's now run away completely. I'm sorry about that. It's one of our many antelope species that we get here. 10, I said 9 this morning. Can you believe it? We talked to a school in Hong Kong today, and I told them we only get 9 species of antelope, and I was wrong. There are 10. But we won't see all 10 today. Let's turn off this road and into a more wilderness-ready road. Ooh, my goodness. Now, I'm looking on the ground here, and I'm looking on the ground to see what animals have come walking past here. And I can see that a leopard has walked past here, and I think that this leopard has got babies. I think this leopard's got babies with her. Okay, let's carry on going and just have a look-see down the road here, and we'll maybe be able to see when she came. Now, even if you find the footprints, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to find the leopard, because it can be very, very difficult to spot leopards or lions because the bush is thick. It's summertime here. I know it's wintertime where you are, or hopefully it's nearly springtime where you are. So what I'm doing is just keeping an eye on the road here to see if perhaps we don't have some sign of them, because it would be very special. So what I was saying there is that you can see it is now summertime, which means it's warm. There's a nice bird we've got over there. It's called a starling. It's warm and the grass is thick and there's lots for the animals to eat, but it's gone now, Craig. I'm afraid it's flown away. The animals don't want to see me or you this afternoon, do they? There it is. It's on the furthest bush there. There we go. Look at the beautiful colours on that starling. Isn't that nice? Now you can see it's got a yellow eye, and we get 5 different kinds of starlings, and 2 of them have got yellow eyes like that. And so I know that that is one of 2 kinds of starlings. Right, Tayla has managed to find something very small. It's not a baby leopard, but it's something that a baby leopard might want to eat one day.
Look at this, it's a whole family of warthogs. There's 2 adults and all those tiny little bottoms with those very funny looking tails. Now they are very, very shy of us, so you can see they are moving away slightly, but we will try and get a better picture if they do move away. Hopefully they'll just become used to the sound of the car, and then they won't be too worried. But they are hungry, hungry, hungry for grass and for Mum's milk. Come on, you're getting left behind. Right, let me quickly go back. Let me see if I can reverse and maybe we can get another look at them. But like James said, is that they are a little bit nervous because there could be leopards around. This is the area. And Hosana and Shongile, which are 2 leopard cubs, are just over 1 year old now. They would love to try and catch something like this and practice their hunting skills. Let's see if we can see them again. Now remember, if you've got any questions, you're welcome to ask them. Where's the little piggies? Warthogs. I think they're in here somewhere. Now, Alicia, you've asked when baby leopards are born, if they have spots. They do indeed, and they've got beautiful blue eyes for the first couple of days of their life. And it's really, really nice, but they're born blind. So for the first 10 days, very much like lions, they actually can't see anything. And then once they open up their eyes, then you see beautiful, beautiful blue eyes. But they do have spots on them. And those spots help with hiding them away. Oh, I think our warthogs have run away from us. They're very nervous, and because the grass is so long at the moment from all the lovely rain that we've had, it means that they're able to hide away quite easily, which is good for the warthogs, because it means that they've got a better chance of not being eaten, but it's not so good for us, because I would love to show you those warthogs. Oh, well, at least we had a quick look at them. I'm going to show you something else. It's in a big dam just up ahead. It looks like there's a hippopotamus in the water, but what I'm going to do is, it's quite far around the corner. Let's go up and onto the dam wall, and then we'll get a better look of the hippo. And you never know, maybe those warthogs then come out on the road behind us. And VM's got a very big camera with a very good zoom, so he might be able to zoom into them if they do decide to come out again, which I'm sure that they will. As soon as we move away, they'll feel comfortable again. Are you excited to see a hippopotamus? I'm very excited to see a hippo. Oh, the hippo's already watching us. Let's poke our heads on down here. Hello, hippopotamus. It looks like a big boy hippopotamus. Look at him. Oh, and under he goes. Now you're going to have to watch very, very carefully, because this hippo is going to go up and down in the water. They can be quite shy sometimes too, just like the warthogs. You know, animals have good days, animals have bad days too, just like us as humans. So sometimes they say, oh no, you know, today I'm not in a very good mood. I don't really feel like being seen today. But let's see. Now they can hold their breath for quite a long time. They can hold their breath for up to 6 minutes. So we could be sitting here for a long time. So should we start counting? 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and we're going to go on and on until our friend the hippo comes up. Hippopotamus, we're going to have to keep waiting for him, and hopefully he'll pop up in the next 5 minutes and 30 seconds. But James has got an animal that is even bigger than a hippo.
I do indeed, everyone. It is a huge elephant bull. And I'm whispering because he turned round as soon as we drove up here. And that means that he heard us, he wants to have a look at us, and you know, he's so very, very big, about, I'd say 3 times the size of the car that I'm in. And so we need to be careful of him and make sure that he's comfortable with us. And Michael, you're wondering if it's dangerous where we are. Michael, it is potentially dangerous. Now, what that means is that it can be dangerous, but it isn't always dangerous. And as long as we are careful and we are respectful of the animals and the wilderness out here, normally it's pretty safe. Now, for you, Michael, I imagine it would be quite a dangerous place to be because you don't understand this area yet. You haven't ever lived in a place like this. Now, for us, it's the same as if I was to go, for example, to a city I didn't know, and if I went walking around there and I didn't know what was going on and where the bad places were, well, then it would also be dangerous for me. But you know where you live, where the dangerous places are and where the safe places are, and it's the same in the wild out here. And he's just having a listen to us. They've got very good ears. Their eyes aren't bad either. And he's just trying to see what we're up to here. He's trying to figure it out. I think also these big elephant bulls, which are so huge, I think that they get very tired of walking around all day long trying to find something to eat. And so when we come along, sometimes they like to have a little bit of a conversation with us. And that conversation doesn't include words, obviously, but it includes other kinds of communication. And I'm sure your teachers will help you to understand what I mean by that. But you know how sometimes when you can see someone is happy or sad or cross, that's from their what we call body language. And so we are communicating with this elephant through his body language. I'm watching his body language carefully. I'm watching to see if he looks angry, if he looks upset, and he'd show us that by the way he held his head or opened his ears out. And Matilda, you want to know how we can tell the age of an elephant. You know, it's not very easy. The best way, of course, is to spend a lot of time in the bush and a lot of time around elephants and with people who know how old elephants are. So I would say that this elephant is about 35 years old, 30 to 35 years old. He's a very big fellow. And you know, unlike human beings, you know how you guys are all going to stop growing one day in the same way that I stopped growing when I was about, say 19 years old. I'm not 19 anymore. And I stopped growing then at about 5'8". Elephants don't ever stop growing. They keep on growing until the day they die. So the bigger the elephant is, the older it is. And we know that they live to 65 years old. So I think this one is probably about 30 to 35. Now he's behind that bank. Can you see that? Now can you believe it? Behind that grassy bank there is the biggest animal on land. And Ariana, while we wait and see if that elephant pops out, you want to know what an elephant eats. Well, an elephant eats what's on that bank. They eat lots of grass, and they eat seeds and pods and fruits and bark and twigs and basically any kind of vegetable. And that was also Ariana. You wanted to know that. Hannah and Ariana. Very nice question from you about the elephant. Now, I can see him. I can just see his ears popping up and down. There he is. Can you believe that just behind there is an animal that weighs 14,000 pounds just behind there? That's amazing. Now, Joshua, you're wondering how big an elephant's ears are. Well, they're pretty big. They're probably about the size of a large dining room table. So he's walking off now. There he goes. So about the size of a dining room tabletop. A round one. Now, the reason I'm not driving any closer to him is because when we got here, he did turn to face us, which means that he's not that happy to see us. He's not that unhappy either. But what we don't want to do is put him in a position where he feels threatened by us. So now as he moves off, we can move a bit closer, because it's when an animal feels a little bit threatened, when they feel upset by us, that they move away. Naya, you say do elephants have teeth? Well, you saw the teeth on that one. Those tusks are teeth. They're the same as these two teeth here on human beings. And they just grow out, very long and out of the elephant's mouth. And then they've got molars at the back, but like yours. So if you put your tongue to the back of your head, not the back of your head, the back of your mouth, you do that, and you feel those flat teeth at the back. He's got those two. He's got two on top and two on the bottom, but they're about that big. Now we're just going to go very slowly towards him. Oops, sorry about that. And I'll tell you why I'm being careful. It's because I can smell something very sweet. And that sweetish smell is something that we call must. And that means that this elephant wants to be a dad. He's moving around trying to find himself a wife to see if he can't make another baby elephant. Mia, you want to know how long an elephant's trunk is? Well, I tell you what you should think about. An elephant's trunk, Nick, when you get home, I want you to go up to your dad. Or if you've got a particularly tall mum, you can use your mum, or if you've got a man teacher, and go and look at their legs. Go and stand next to your dad's leg, and you will see roughly the length of an elephant's trunk. But an elephant's trunk is stretchy, which means that it can, I don't know if you know what a slinky is. Perhaps you do, perhaps you don't. But it is when it's not resting. So when the elephant's walking around like this one is now, it's about the length of a man's leg. But it can stretch to at least 1.5 times that length. So that's quite long. So I imagine if you guys are between 5 and 7 years old, it's probably about, say, 5 big steps. That's how long an elephant's trunk is. Brooke, you're wondering if an elephant can spray water with its trunk. They can, they're very good at spraying water. Their trunks are their noses, and so they suck water up into their noses. And unlike us, they don't then go... They suck it, water up into their noses, and then they blow. And it goes... But normally they blow it into their mouths, because that's how they drink. They suck up the water into their mouths, at least into their trunks, and then blow it into their mouths. And there you can see his lovely big tusks. Isn't he wonderful? Now that smell I described to you, that lets me know that he wants to become a dad, also means that he can be a little bit cross, and so that's why we're keeping our distance. We're probably sitting about, I'd say 40 meters from him. That's about 130 or 40 feet. It's 130 feet exactly, in fact. Marcus, I said to you that elephants have to walk around the whole time trying to find something to eat, and so you very cleverly asked me, can elephants see at night? Well, they probably see about as well as we can at night, so we don't see very well at night, do we? Unless there's a big moon. And so, no, they don't see very well at night. But you know what, Marcus? Do you know how many hours they sleep? I wonder if you know even how many hours you sleep. Let's say you go home after school, and later on you'll have your supper, and then you'll go to bed, and you'll probably be in bed at around about 7 o'clock at night, and then you'll get up again in the morning at between 6 and 7, I imagine. So that is 12 hours of sleep, and you might even have a nap in the middle of the day, so you'll have sort of 12 to 13 hours of sleep. Do you know how many hours an elephant like this sleeps for? Only 2 hours a day, which means, Marcus, that he has to move around at night, and he does that without bumping into things by smelling. His trunk is very sensitive. He can smell very easily, much better than we can, and he's also got very sensitive feet. He's able to use those feet to tell if there are dangers up ahead or not, and also, of course, he's so big that even if he walks into something, it's really not going to hurt him. And I'm sorry this isn't a better picture, but I can't move forward from here, I'm afraid. We're going to have to just wait right here and see if he doesn't come out. I was also hoping that maybe the leopardess called Shadow and her tiny little babies would come out, but it doesn't seem that that's the case at the moment. But look how cleverly hidden that beautiful elephant is, because he's so huge, but yet he's very difficult to see. Now Tayla has managed to find yet another sea cow. Go and ask her what a sea cow is.
We do have a sea cow, and why James is calling it a sea cow is because the Afrikaans name, so that's a language that we speak here in South Africa, sort of a dialect of Dutch, I suppose you could say, and that word is seerkoe, which directly translates to sea cow. And that's what happened when the Europeans started arriving in South Africa to explore these areas. They were actually seeing lots and lots of hippos in the oceans as they arrived in their big ships. Can you imagine? But now, sadly, we don't see very many hippos in the oceans anymore. We typically see them in these wilderness areas, and there are lots and lots of hippos all over Africa. But we waited a long time to get a view of this boy. Katie, now you're wondering, how do hippos swim? Katie, can you believe it that this big animal that lives in the water actually doesn't know how to swim? They've got very short, stubby little legs, which doesn't allow them to pedal very well. So what they do is they bob up and down in the water. So when they need to move around, if it's very deep water, they will walk. They'll sink to the bottom of the water, and they'll walk as if somebody was walking on the moon type thing. So it almost looks like, if you watch a hippo as it runs along the bottom of the water, it looks like an astronaut, as if they're running along the moon. They sort of glide and, take big steps. It's really, really amazing to see. But this hippo is all on his own, and he doesn't stay here all the time. He moves between quite a few different dams, searching for lady friends. But sadly, he hasn't got any lady friends. And maybe a little bit later, if you guys keep watching, I'll take you and show you a massive dam. It looks like a huge lake at Chitwa, and there are plenty hippos. But this is also quite a big dam now with all the water that we've had. They filled up nicely, and it's not just the hippo in here. We've got a couple of bird species too, and look at them, they're having a bath. So the ones on the right are white-faced whistling ducks, and then the bird on the left-hand side is a blacksmith lapwing. And we've got so many amazing birds here in South Africa, and they can be quite pretty. But to see them bathing is really cool. How amazing is this? See them? That's really amazing to watch birds have a bath. We actually don't see it as often as I'd like. Now, Brooke, you're wondering, how long can a hippo stay in the water for? They spend most of their day in the water, Brooke, and they need to try and keep directly out of the sunlight because they can get sunburned quite easily, but also the water helps keep them nice and cool. Hello, boy. And they will spend, I would say, in this particular area, about 70% of their day is spent in the water. And then when it's nice and cool, so even on a day like today, it's overcast, there's lots of clouds, it's not too hot, the hippos will come out of the water and actually go and eat. So it's mainly at night. So as the sun sets, as it drops behind the horizon, out come the hippos. They go and munch away on all the grass that you can see in these areas. And then in the morning, they go back. Leah, are you wondering why do hippos have such small ears? Leah, did you notice? Actually, I want to show you. Have a look how cool this is. When you look at this hippo, can you see that its ears, its eyes, and its nose, its two nostrils, are all on the same level? So it doesn't need to stick much of its body out of the water in order to see, hear, or smell. Did you see how cool that is? Now, they don't need particularly large ears because they're underwater a lot of the time. So that's not going to help them, but their hearing is not too bad. So their eyes they've got relatively good eyesight and an okay sense of smell too. Joshua, you're wondering if hippos can see underwater. Now, Joshua, in this water, I'm not so certain because it is very murky and it's quite brown. So even if you were to have very good vision underwater, it's difficult if it's lots of sand and all little particles floating around, because then the water's not very clear. So it's very, very murky. So I don't think that this hippo can see underwater very, very well. Look at that. And what happens when a hippo puts its nose under the water? It's actually able to close its nostrils. You see that? See, it's opening them. And then when it goes under, it closes them so that no water can go into its sinuses. There it goes. And then they love to blow bubbles. And under. How cool is that? Vanessa, Jody, and Tayla, you're wondering, what does a hippo eat? All of this lovely green grass that is growing around in this area. So we're lucky at the moment because there is so much grass around. So the hippos don't have to move far away at night. But can you believe it, that a hippo can walk up to 10 kilometers away from a water source? So they try and stay in areas where there's permanent water. This one will dry up eventually, but they need to eat lots and lots of grass. Marcus, we were just chatting about if hippos, what do they eat, and you're wondering if they eat anything that comes from the water. I've seen hippos, especially in Zambia, eating water lilies. So they haven't got much nutrition to them, but they will. And sometimes if there's any reeds and things that are just growing on the edge of the water, you will occasionally see them feeding on that vegetation. But typically the grass has got the best nutrients and is the best for their digestive system. Hippopotamus, he's not playing with us today. He's deciding that he prefers to spend a bit of time under the water. So he's a shy hippopotamus. But like I said, maybe we'll go and have a look a little bit later at all the others. And there's lots of babies. There's even a crocodile, a couple of crocodiles that live at that dam. And you never know what else you might see. But it is beautiful out here this afternoon. Now I'm looking for leopard cubs. So if you see me looking over my shoulder, I'm hoping they're going to pop up. Kira, you're wondering if that hippo, hello boy, he's listening to our every word, if he has a name. He doesn't have a name. We don't normally name all the animals out here. It's mainly the lions and the leopards that have got names, because it's hard to keep tabs on the hippos. They come and go all the time. They do have territories, but this particular dam doesn't seem to hold hippos for quite some time. They come and go as they please. Sometimes we see them here for a few days, and then others, there's just maybe a few weeks where we don't see any hippo at all. But we used to have one hippopotamus, and his name was Henry. And Henry used to live outside one of the lodges, and we used to see him every single day. We'd see him in the evening when he'd go out and eat grass, and I hope that Henry makes a return. But he was quite easy to tell the difference between the others, because he had a big sore on his back. I think that he'd been in a fight with another big hippopotamus, and they've got very, very, very big teeth. And that obviously got an injury on his back, so he was easy to tell apart, but only when his back was sticking out of the water. Otherwise, he just looked like the others. But I don't think this is a particularly old hippopotamus. Come on. Yes, look at his, look, show us your teeth. Show us your big teeth, hippopotamus. And it's really cool to see a big hippo yawn. Maybe Often when they mouth the water like that, they will open up their mouths. And when they do open up their mouths, it's a threat display. Look, look, look. Look how cool that is. So, Nico, you're wondering how big are Hippo's teeth? Now, Nico, they've got lots and lots of different types of teeth there, but the big ones that you were talking about can get bigger than 50 centimeters. So if you take your ruler, come on, open it. I think he's going to. I think he's just teasing us. If you take your ruler and if you divide it into thirds, which is difficult, but you'll learn about all those types of things when you start doing proper maths. What are you doing? He's doing synchronized swimming underneath the water. So it's quite big. So just longer than your ruler, basically. And they're very playful, hippos, as well. Especially when you have little ones. It's the funniest thing to sit and watch them. They push and shove each other around. They open their mouths. Now, I'm wondering if he's going to leap up and do a big splash. Come on, hippopotamus. Show us your gorgeous teeth. Nope. This hippo is a stubborn hippo, I'm afraid. But at least he came up to say hello to all of you, and I'm sure he's going to say goodbye shortly. But we're going to go across into James's vehicle now, because he's got a very exciting African cat to show you.
The biggest cat in all of Africa, and some of their babies. That, everyone, is the African lion. Isn't that nice? We're very lucky to be seeing them. And we just came round the corner. We didn't know they were here. And there they are. Beautiful, beautiful lions. Now, what we've got here is 5 lionesses and 6 little cubs. Now, the little cubs are not so little anymore. Some of them will be a year old in May. And I bet you're wondering to yourself, how can they be looking at lions? Surely lions must be dangerous. And the answer is that lions can be dangerous, but only if you make them cross. And we haven't made these ones cross at all. And so they're not going to harm us in the slightest. Isn't that nice? I bet you didn't think you were going to see lions when you came to school today. And what's really nice is that they're actually doing something. Most of the time, lions don't do anything. They just sit around the place doing absolutely nothing. Because they get so very tired being lions. And you know why they get tired? They don't have a diet like yours. You know, you have a nice breakfast in the morning. And sometimes it's eggs, and sometimes it's bacon, and sometimes it's cereal. Well, these lions have to eat only meat, and so they're so tired. So, Messam, when you ask what do lions eat, the answer is they only eat meat. And that's very tiring. If you only eat meat, you get very tired. And Vanessa, you're thinking to yourself, how fast can a lion run? I mean, if these guys have to get out of the way, how fast can a lion run? The answer, Vanessa, is, well, they can run at probably about, they think the top speed that a lion can reach is probably about 80 kilometers an hour, which is about 50 miles per hour. So I'm just going to move very carefully because obviously these lions, we don't want to startle them. They can run about 50 miles per hour, and I know that there are many of you in your class who are very fast, and I know you fast, but you're nothing like as fast as a lion, I'm afraid. They are so quick. They're not the quickest animal in the world. That would be a cheetah, which can run at 60 miles an hour, but they reckon that a fast lion can run at about 50 miles an hour. Isn't that amazing? Let's have a look at the little baby one at the far end. Amelie, what a good question. You obviously know a little bit about animals. Look at this cute little thing coming up now. And you say, do lions, are they born with hair? Yes, Emily, absolutely, they're born with hair. They are born with hair. They're born with their eyes shut, and their eyes open after about 3 to 6 days. So they're blind when they're born. They can't see anything. But it takes about 6 days for them to open their eyes. And then they take still a long time to be able to move properly with their mums. They have to stay inside or in a den for quite a long time. Well, Tristan, I think if you look carefully, you'll answer your own question there. We're looking at an adult female who's giving herself a bit of a clean, and you say, do all lions have a mane? The answer is absolutely not. No, definitely. Only the males have a mane. In a very rare occasion, you might find a female lion who's got a mane, but that's very unusual. And it's about as usual as finding a woman with a beard. So a mane is like a beard. And only men have beards normally. I know some women who've got beards, but that's a little bit disconcerting. You don't need to worry about what the word disconcerting means. And it's about the same number of female lions that have manes. Diana, as we look at these 5 babies, you say, how many babies can a lion have at once? They say about 6 is the limit, but very seldom will a lioness actually have 6 babies. That's very, very unusual indeed. So I'll tell you what, I've got this very fancy thing of information that I carry with me all the time. And it will tell me probably what the record is, how many the most a lioness has ever had. I'll have a look. Let's see what we can find. Now they're cleaning each other because that's what lions do. They're just like house cats, they like to clean each other. They have to try and stay clean all the time. And why do you think it is that a cat wants to stay clean? Have any of you got any idea? Let me ask you a question rather than you asking me a question. Why do you think it is that lions have to clean each other, as do leopards, as do house cats? Why do they clean each other like that? What's the point? See if you can think about that. Look at them, mum being very affectionate. That means very gentle and kind with her youngsters. Let me just see if I can't find this number for you. Joshua, you want to know how old the mama lions are? Well, these lionesses are probably between 3 and 7 years old. I don't think all 5 are here. I think it's actually just 3 of them. 3 lionesses. There are 2 other lionesses that belong to this pride, and I don't think that they are here. So probably about between 3 and 7 years old. Lions don't live a very long time at all. They only live for around about 10 to 15 years. That's not very young, at least long, is it? Hannah, you say, what do lion babies do? Well, they do a lot of sleeping, but what do you do that is different from what adults do? Think about what you do that's different from adults. And I know that when I was a kid, what I always wanted to do was play, and I didn't find that the adults wanted to play so much with me, and so that's what these little cats do. They like to sleep and eat and play, just like us. And Andy, you want to know how big these cubs are when they're born? They are tiny. They're about the size of a rat. So probably about, say, that big. Isn't that tiny? About 8 inches long. That's minute, isn't it? So they're very, very small, and they can't see anything, and they can't hear anything, and it takes them a little while to open their eyes. I'm just looking around to see if I haven't missed anything. Because just behind us, let me show you something quickly. Just behind us is something that you in the United States would call a buzzard. And Marcus, you say, can baby lions walk when they're born? They can sort of walk, but not really, no. Not when they're born. After a few days, though, they can stand up and move around, but they can't walk very well. There, in the top of that tree there, we've got what you, I suppose, in the United States would call a buzzard. And it isn't, of course, a buzzard at all. It's a vulture. And those are called white-backed vultures. And they indicate to me that it's quite possible that these lions killed something close by sometime during the course of either yesterday or today. I wonder if they didn't eat a meal here. And that's why those vultures are there, waiting to see if they can catch some scraps, to steal a little bit of meat, because that's what vultures do. They steal meat. But they'll be very scared of the lions, because lions don't like it when things steal their food, do they? Isn't that cool? So we can just move a little bit forward, back to our lions. This is quite a nice picture of them. Michaela, yes, I'm afraid they do, you know. You say, and I bet you're very surprised by this, you say the lions lie down the whole day. Yep, pretty much. Remember we were talking about elephants and how they only sleep for 2 hours of the day? Well, these lions will probably sleep for 20 hours a day. 20 hours. Imagine going to sleep for the whole night and then going to sleep again straight after that for the whole night. That's as long as these lions sleep every single day. So you know how long it takes for you, for example, if you get up in the morning at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock perhaps, and you have your breakfast and you go to school and you come home and you play around a bit, and then eventually it's time for supper, and then you go to bed again. All that time lions can sleep and do absolutely nothing. They're very lazy. Anthony Burns Elementary School, you said that the lions clean each other because they are dirty. Well, yes, I suppose that's true. They do clean each other because they're dirty, but they don't want to smell bad. That's why they clean each other. And they don't want to smell bad because when they're hunting, they don't want their prey, which can be impala or buffalo or wildebeest or zebra or kudu or nyala or waterbuck or reedbuck or sable antelope or giraffe sometimes, or even hippo, like you saw with Tayla. They don't want their prey to be able to smell them, because if their prey can smell them, then their prey is going to run away, and then they won't eat. Can you hear that? They're just talking to each other. And we're very lucky to have them in amongst the grass, because if they were all lying flat just a little bit further into this grass, we wouldn't see them at all. They could disappear and we'd never know that they were here. And look at the little baby also cleaning mum, just so that they are friendly to each other all the time. Westlin, you want to know how strong a lion is. Well, I bet you think you're quite strong, Westlin. Well, a lion's even stronger than you. I bet you think your dad's quite strong. Well, a lion is stronger than your dad. I bet you even think that if you have ever been on a horse, have you ever ridden a horse? Oh, dear. That little cub's got a sneezing fit, like Tayla did earlier on. We'll have to call that lion Tayla. Well, Westlin, they're about as strong as a horse. Can you imagine that? Isn't that an unbelievable strength? A small horse, but a horse nevertheless. So they're very, very powerful, and they can kill something bigger than them. So these lionesses weigh about 240 pounds or so, and they could kill something that weighed at least 350 pounds. So they're very strong. That's why they sleep so much. All right, everybody, from Anthony Burns, from what was the other B one? Bartlett? But it is Bartlett. Bartlett Community and Pembroke, thank you very much for coming on safari with us. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day at school. Try to concentrate, and remember, life can only get easier from your school days. Bye-bye.
We're back with us, and we've got a bit of change of scenery at the moment. Sadly, we didn't quite find the leopards. I think Karula has fetched her cubs, but we have managed to find ourselves at Chitwa Dam, and Viam is doing a sterling job of following the swallows around. Isn't this really cool? Now, of course, if you have just joined us, welcome to Safari Live, and my name is Tayla. And if in case you're wondering who the man is that is filming all this incredible wildlife, it is Viam today on board with us. And yes, we're sitting here. This is the first time I've actually been to Chitwa Dam since the rains, and it is massive. And what surprised me the most is all of those buffalo weaver nests in the distance that were on the various knobthorns and leadwoods that were once beautiful trees are almost underwater now. And there's a couple of weavers as well, not buffalo weavers, look like
We're live again, everybody. Hello, my name is James Hendry, in case you're wondering. Here we are with the Nkuhuma Pride on Arathusa. And it's very nice to see them again, I must say. Please talk to us. Hashtag Safari Live. School drive's over. School day is over, not school day, school drive only. So please ask us questions. And these lions are getting up. And that's quite unusual, as many of you will know, of course, watching these lions all the time. You'll know that they're not very good at getting up this time of the day. But it's quite cool out here. I'd say probably, I was told it was 28 degrees Celsius, which is 82 Fahrenheit. That is a far and contemptible untruth. I'm going to say it's no more than 26 degrees or so, which is 74 degrees, and not 74, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, which is actually a very pleasant temperature. So talk to us about the Pride. Tell us, I haven't seen these things for I don't know how long. You know, in fact, I can tell you exactly how long it was. We saw them in the very first TV show we did in January. Then we saw them in the very last TV show we did in January, and we didn't see them in between that at all. And I haven't seen them since then. So I've seen them 3 times this year. And 2 of those I wasn't actually present. So, very nice to catch up with them again. Now, Leslie, you're wondering where the males of the Pride are. Leslie, males, of course, are not part of the Pride. The males are extra to the Pride. They don't live with the females and the babies. They live on their own in something called a coalition of males. And well, that's just because that's their role. So the Pride consists of females and babies, and the males will normally have 2 or 3 prides in their territory, and they're not considered part of the Pride. And of course, much of the misconceptions about lion biology come from The Lion King. Wonderful story. Absolute load of hogwash when it comes to biology. It wasn't supposed to be a biological exposition. It's supposed to be a good story, and that's what it was. Now, great joy and rapture, unforeseen, out on foot this afternoon. He's managed to get his act together. He's managed to find himself some pyjama donkeys of the McCurdy herdie. Let's go and find out how Stefan Winterboer is doing.
We have found McCurdy's herdie, and they are also called pyjama donkeys, and that is exactly what we've got on foot here today. And welcome to the bushwalk, a slightly belated beginning to the bushwalk today, but I'm glad that we managed to get out here and everything is going A4OK. And just look at this, we've got 3 different species of mammal right behind us. We've got zebra, which are apparent in the foreground, then some impala directly behind them, and off to the left is a bull nyala that's walking away into the distance. A fully grown bull nyala. Although we see them around camp, I can't actually tell you when the last time we saw a decent sized nyala was around here, or not at least me on foot. So for those of you who are wondering who I am, my name is Stef Winterboer, and on camera today we have Dave. And that was our plan, pretty much, to come and look for the zebra that we had this morning. I didn't quite know that the lions had been found in Arathusa this morning. I was almost convinced that the lions were somewhere around here. There was just too much commotion this morning when we were busy with tracking around here. The zebra were walking circles around us, giving alarm calls. The impala were giving alarm calls. But it seems like either they were scared off or the lions were scared off by something else. And I heard James was speculating as to where the Birmingham boys could be. You know, it's not uncommon for lions around this time of the year to spend a lot of time dispersed. The only place that I know of where lions actually collect collect in the wet season. No, am I saying this correctly? No, I'm not. Oh, the only place that I know of where lions collect and not disperse in the wet season is the Central Kalahari Game Reserve. Everywhere else that I know of, lions in the wet season disperse. And the reason for that is because the animals are so dispersed. There's not enough to feed a pride of lion. Think back a couple of months when you were watching the Nkuhuma Pride basically living at Djuma camp and around Djuma camp. They were killing a buffalo almost every single day. A lot of meat to feed one pride, but if you remember, they were finishing those buffalo in a single night. There was enough mouths to feed there that a buffalo only lasted them one single night. Now those cubs are a little bit bigger. Can you imagine how much meat those lions are needing on a daily basis to sustain themselves? Of course, with everything dispersed, they're not getting enough of that, and these lions disperse out into the wilderness and into the bush around us, and hence we don't see them that often. That, and with male lions at least anyway, they also need to patrol their territories. Now, on the question of territories, Hannah has asked me about giraffe territories and, zebra territories. Hannah, zebras have a home range. In other words, they live in a place, it will have a boundary. That boundary will be quite fluid, but they do not actively defend that boundary. What zebra do have is the males will have a harem of females, and the males will actively defend themselves and their harem against other males, but they don't have a territory. A territory, as far as I'm aware, is defined by an animal's ability to protect and mark out that particular territory. We've all seen leopard, or at least most of us have seen leopard walking down the road, and quite often they'll walk up to a bush and rub their face on the bush, turn around, spray some urine at that bush. Quite often you'll notice Brent also talking about how he can smell that lovely scented urine smell that the leopard spray all over the place. Leopard are very territorial. There are other animals that are territorial as well, but you know, for example's sake, we'll use leopard. And they mark out territories. They also fight one another. We saw Tingana and the Anderson male fighting with one another over territories, walking parallel to each other. Lots of roaring, lots of growling, lots of bluff and bravado. Basically, we've seen male lions fighting with one another over territories. So basically, lions and a lot of animals have territories, but those actions I've just described are actions of an animal that is territorial. We don't see zebras doing the same, but they will live in an area. That area will not change, although it'll be very wide and will have fluid boundaries and could even be seasonally variable. In the wet season, they'll move far away from water sources into areas where food is good in the dry season, they'll start to concentrate around water sources and the remaining food that's left. Alright, why don't we send you over to Tayla, who has an update for you because she's en route to Cheetah Plains. I'm sure she'd like to tell you what she's up to.
We're eventually going to get there, Stef, but we're going the scenic route. VM and I are bumbling around. We've just discovered the bush braai site at Chitwa. Would you like to have a look how beautiful it is? Now, it's perfectly positioned underneath a massive jackalberry, as you can see. So this is where guests would come to have a dinner under the stars. And there's no fence around here, so lions, leopard, elephant, hippopotamus, any animal can join you on your dinner, which I think is quite beautiful. And you can imagine it would be lovely, especially in the winter months, once these clouds will start to clear away and you get a beautiful starry night. It's much better than that. One of my favorite places to actually have dinner in the bushes in a riverbed underneath the stars. That is also in a little bit of water during the day is nice to have a nice little cool lunch. But yes, we are just out here, and I'm a bit sad about Chitwa Dam. All our hippos have obviously gone around the corner where the water's a little bit shallower, and it makes it quite difficult because we obviously can't see them anymore. One that was sort of close to the rooms, but the rest of them around the system. So apologies for that, just every now and then there seems to be a couple of gremlins hopping on board. Of course, if you're not sure what a gremlin is, in case you're a new viewer, it's the term we give when we have little signal patches that aren't great. Now remember, we are out in the middle of Africa, so sometimes we don't have the greatest spots, but I'll make it up to you. And we're now there we go. And here we have a beautiful big wildebeest. Thank you, boy, for turning around and having a look at the camera. I think he only just did that because the flies are bothering him. And he's a bit like me, I suppose, because I'm not afraid to swat myself wherever the flies may land. And he seems to be doing the same thing. And he seems to almost be headbutting himself and doing that, which I think is a lot more powerful. But have a little listen to the beautiful, monotonous larks that are calling. Isn't that beautiful? I've got a dusky lark behind me and I'm not sure what it's doing. I just want to quickly reverse just a little bit so I can swing the vehicle around. Don't fly away now. There it is. Now you can hear the monotonous lark singing. This is a dusky lark, and it was behaving quite interesting just now. I don't know if it's feeding on the ants. You can see it's definitely broken up something that it's standing on. Yes, I think there's either ants or termites, and that's what it is eating. Now it's having a good scratch. But beautiful birds as well, very nice. You often see them on these open areas near the airstrips. They tend to prefer it. Whereas the monotonous larks, they're interesting. The monotonous larks. You know, I always know larks, they prefer to sit on low-lying shrubs, particularly the rufous-naped lark, and sitting in the grass. The monotonous larks love to sit in the long grass, but they fly to the tallest and the tops of the trees and sit up there and often sing their beautiful tune as well. Whereas the dusky larks are normally just running around on the ground. Like I said, they prefer the open areas, sometimes sitting on the termite mounds and smaller bits of things too, including this little bit of sand. It is decided that it is also quite a nice spot to sit on while it preens itself. I'm wondering where its mate is, because I did see both of them running around here. Perhaps it just got a fright and flew off somewhere, which I'm sure that they will rejoin at some point. But that was really cool. Just a couple of nice little birds while we're here on the airstrip. Now let's go up along a little bit further. This is my favorite spot for elephants, just because of the beautiful light. And have a look at those crepuscular rays now coming through. Look at that. This is one of my favorite things. How beautiful is that? Ray, now you're wondering if that lark we've just seen, the dusky lark, will form a flock, whereas the rest of it, they normally just, they're not quite gregarious. The monotonous larks, there are plenty of at the moment. But and then the rufous-naped larks, you also just see pairs of them, though typically you'll see them just on their own. We might see some Senegal lapwings around here, or crown lapwings, which can be gregarious. Hello, boy. Bobby, now you're wondering if it's unusual for this wildebeest to be on his own. And no, not at all. So just as you were with Stef, with the zebra, and he would have been telling you about the harems and their home ranges, wildebeest are slightly different. So this is a big bull, and he marks and defends a territory in this area. So he doesn't really move around very much. He tries to find the best spot, the best grazing, the best shelter, and of course if you have a nearby watering hole, that only increases your chances of seeing a few more female herds come through. So basically, he'll hang around here, and it's a good spot. It's nice to be on the airstrip. There's lots of lush grass around here, and again, there is water close by. So he'll wait and he'll defend this area off from other male wildebeest, and then once he picks up the scent or he spots a herd of ladies passing by, he will try and, of course, rope them in and try and herd them and coax them into staying into his territory for as long as possible. Sadly, this doesn't always work out in their favor. Normally, it's only a couple of weeks before they move off again. But we're going to keep searching. I think we're going to make a dash now for a cheetah plains, and hopefully we'll follow up on those cheetah brothers, or maybe a leopard or two. I'm not certain what's waiting for us that side. But I'm going to send you back across to Stef, who has found himself some very young zebra foals.
We have, well, it's the same herd of zebra that we were with a little bit earlier, and while Tayla goes and searches for those cheetah, which I no doubt think that you all want to see, gives us a good opportunity to spend some time with these zebra. But have a look at what they're doing, and this would answer why we are seeing these short grass areas on quarantine. It's just they're being cropped by these large herbivores, and I think for the majority of the evening they're being cropped as well. I mentioned this morning that I'd say about some new behavior that I've seen over the last couple of days. We've been testing some pretty epic new camera equipment, and we've been looking at these animals at night on quarantine, and I've been very surprised at how long these animals spend feeding. Oh, we've just got a wildebeest walking into the picture. Hello. This is the male wildebeest that lives on quarantine at the moment. You can see how he's strutting his stuff. There he goes, a bit of a fly biting him just to ruin his model moment. Now, zebra and wildebeest quite often like to hang around with one another, for lack of a better description. The zebra love to eat the long grass. The wildebeest love to eat, well, is it the opposite way around? Excuse me. The wildebeest love to eat long grass. Zebra then come and eat the short grass once it's been uncovered by the wildebeest. And in return, look at what he's doing. So what he's doing is he's got some glands. There we go. He's rolling now, and he's going to roll basically into his toe jam. He's now getting that smell all over himself from that glandular secretion between the hooves on his front feet. And what he'll do is he'll stand up. And now the wind is wafting over him and pulling that scent much further than it would have if he had just scraped the sand. And obviously he's using it as a perfume to entice some females. He's got no harem at the moment. Unfortunately, this is a lone bull. Shame. With a whole bunch of zebra girlfriends, I suppose, if you look at it that way. These zebra are moving off now. But very interesting, just to finish off that chat, to see how long these zebra are feeding for at night time. They pretty much don't stop feeding. Them and in the Impala, you'd think that they'd be sleeping up, hiding out somewhere until, you know, the sun came up, but not this particular herd. Doesn't matter whether it was full dark or whether it was moonlit. They absolutely stayed active most of the time. It's just lovely to see. And it's actually incredible to see how much grass they've actually eaten. We'll go there now. Let's walk there now. Come through this grass. This is fairly unpalatable grass where we're walking now, and you can see it's still fairly long. But as soon as the grass changes, it goes short. These zebra and this wildebeest have cropped this grass literally down to a few inches. Hippopotamus will do the same thing. There we go. You can see as we come out of the long grass thickets onto the short grass plains, this is all a different type of grass, and this has a much broader leaf blade, and of course is much tastier to eat. Now zebra and wildebeest, they've got different digestive systems. A wildebeest is a ruminant, and or a foregut fermenter, and a zebra is a hindgut fermenter. Now they're two incredibly different digestive systems. One, the ruminant or foregut fermenter, is capable of digesting very and spending a long time taking every bit of nutrients from a piece of grass, but they're restricted to the very palatable grasses, the very good grasses. Zebra, on the other hand, cannot take everything out of the little bit of food that they eat. They constantly need to eat, but because of this they can also digest unpalatable grasses. So zebra have a much wider range of grass that they can eat. Wildebeest have a much smaller range of grass that they can eat, but wildebeest are much more effective at taking nutrients. Oh, what's going on there? Oh, a bit of an altercation. Look at what they're doing. Now, just to remind you, we're standing here on foot watching this from about 100 yards away, speaking at the top of my voice, and they're completely unperturbed by us whatsoever. Actually very nice. It's just one of those things that I've enjoyed so much. Wow. They're kicking one another. I wonder what's happening. So obviously a little bit of disciplining going on there. They've got incredibly thick skin, so that kick would have done virtually nothing. Anyway, why don't we send you over to James, who is ready to show you that one last look of those lions he was with.
Now, yes, indeed, there is some discipline going on with the zebras. There's a lot of play going on here, and I will tell you just that Stef disciplined me earlier on today. He, of course, was a fine exponent of Muay Thai, or kickboxing, and, well, I got my pipes cleaned earlier on today during a little exercise session. I can barely move my hands. I think tomorrow that I will probably have to be carried onto the vehicle. Anyway, as they say, that's what happens when you roll with the big dogs. And we're going to get Rebecca to drive for me. Now, as Stef said, we are going to have to leave, I'm afraid, because there are lots of people who want to come and see them because they are so magnificent. So get your questions in. If you've got any more questions, please send them through now. And then we're going to have to leave, say, in about, 3 minutes. It's a very cute little scene, this, I must say. It's so nice to see them again. And it's so nice to see them doing something, and it's so nice to see them in amongst such green grass. Now, there were some vultures quite close by to here, but it doesn't look to me, I thought maybe during the school drive they'd eaten something, but it doesn't look to me like they've eaten anything, actually. They seem to be rather, well, skinny. The mother certainly stood up very, very sort of, not quite emaciated, but certainly skinny looking. Is that floppy ear at the end there? I don't know. Shire, a very good question. You said, do their sleeping and hunting patterns change with the season? Shire, they do to a certain extent. In the winter time, there are far fewer leaves on the trees and the grass is much shorter. And the result of that is that the hunting for a big species like this becomes a little more difficult in the day or in the light. And so they will probably change their hunting patterns to be much more nocturnal during the winter time. I mean, they're nocturnal in summer too, but they'll do a little bit more during the early hours of the morning on moonlit nights, for example, in the summertime when the vegetation is thick. So when the vegetation becomes less thick, they'll have to use more darkness to hunt. Then you also find that with the changing populations of herbivores, so for example, buffalo are a big thing for them to eat in the wintertime. The buffalo lose condition as the water disappears, and so from about July up until October, you'll find a pride like this probably eats largely buffalo. And now there are a huge number of baby antelope around. The buffalo put condition on, which means that they're more difficult to catch. And so I think you'll find that they're probably knocking off impala and kudu and nyala almost at will at night time, but that those animals won't be going very far to feeding the pride because there are so many mouths to feed. Their sleeping patterns, I don't know that they change too much, no. Largely they sleep from dawn to dusk. Janky, you're wondering about the senses that these lions have and what the strongest sense is. So smell, sight, hearing, taste, or touch. I think you'd find it's probably, I don't know, you know what, I would split it equally between their ears, their eyes, and their noses. They've got very, very strong senses of hearing. They can smell from miles and miles, and they obviously have great eyes, especially at night. But I would say that their worst sense is the sense of taste, because good grief, some of the disgusting stuff that they eat is quite phenomenally foul. I'm obviously being slightly facetious. Jamie, you say, is there a song for when we have found the lions? Yes, it's the old Queen song, We Are the Champions. Craig and I sang that to each other. The lions clapped along, and Craig, of course, does a very fine Freddie Mercury sort of impression. And so, yes, we sang the song We Are the Champions as soon as we found the lions. And Craig, he nearly frightened the lions to death, of course. They nearly got up and left. Didn't you, Craig? I'm laughing at the thought of Craig trying to imitate Freddie Mercury. Craig is the most chilled out person I've ever met in my life, and to imagine him strutting about on a stage is profoundly amusing. Have you ever acted, Craig?
I think in like grade 3 because we had to.
He says he acted in grade 3 because he had to. What did you play the part of?
I can't remember.
A stone, perhaps?
I think it was like a tree.
A tree. A tree, good. Excellent. Alright, everybody, we're going to have to leave these lions now. And we're going to head off. I'm going to see if we can't maybe get lucky with Shadow's youngsters. We'll probably drive this drainage line once more, go up and check around Red Dam and see what else we can find around there. Okay, goodbye, Nkuhumas. We will see you on the flip side. And so while we do that, we're going to head over to my Muay Thai teacher. If you look carefully, you will see that there's a slight shake in my hands, and that's because I'm actually unable to use them anymore thanks to him. So please thank him on my behalf.
I feel sorry because we're not going to be able to listen to James's sultry tunes coming from his guitar in his room after game drive today. It's always a firm favourite of mine, is to come home from a walk and have James playing his guitar in his room. So sorry, James, my fault. But just have a look at that sky out there. How epic is that? We've got the clouds being broken and the sun, pretty much rays of the sun coming through the clouds. That's mainly just, it's not dust in the atmosphere, that's just humidity. Can you believe it? So that happens when there's a lot of moisture in the air, and we've got rain, well, not rain, we've got the rays of the sun coming through there. Can we actually see it? Yeah. How awesome is that? Don't forget to get your screenshots ready. That's not every day that happens. can mark it down as a day to remember. Very nice. It's just such a peace around at the bush at the moment. I'm hearing a bird that I have no idea what it is. I was actually on my way to go and see if we could identify it. I heard it yesterday for the first time. Still don't know what it is, so I suppose once I get to see it, we'll be able to see what it is. Other than that, we've got a button quail. Not the harlequin button quail that's making a noise at the moment. They are some of the summer birds, deep summer birds that come and live here. Well, they always live here, but they are more evident now. They're tiny little birds like this. They scratch these little scrapes in the ground and they hunt for seeds. But they make the most unbelievable call. It's this deep booming noise that comes from this tiny little bird this big, and is actually quite impressive. I'm sure James would like to show you. You know, you get to these things every now and again where you just don't understand where they come from. Why is this piece of grass lying here? There's a cricket, a grasshopper there. But just have a look at that. It looks like it's been ripped out, and of course the tops have been eaten off, which they have been. And that answers the question. This is an elephant. He's taken this bite of Panicum maximum grass and just bitten off the seed tops. The seeds are holding all the fat at the moment, and that's what the elephant's after. He's not after anything else in this whole grass plant except for the majority of the seeds. He missed a few. He wasn't being too picky, and that's because there's a superabundance of food at the moment. So just bit off the top of the grass and discarded the rest of it quite casually. And I'm sure if we walked around here a little bit more, we'll probably find where, here we go, the tracks of where he was doing that. You can see here he spent some time busy digging at the base of this round-leafed bloodwood and excavated a whole bunch more grass. You can see here flattened all these stems. I just had a good munch here today. I don't know when this was. It was probably yesterday. It's not the freshest of tracks. That grass is nice and dry already and the sand is nice and dry. It was probably yesterday that these elephants were through here. Busy digging for that. Alright, let's go and look for these birds. They've obviously stopped calling now, which is, you know, part of what it does. Flies are thankfully not as bad today as they were this morning. Oh, look here, a garden orb. A massive one. Just where you'd expect one to be. This is where insects would be blown or would fly into the gap, and right in the middle is an insect. I've got a new fact to share with all of you. Recent studies have just determined that there is 25 million tons of spiders in the world who consume 600 million tons of insects per year. So just think of that. There are 25 million tons of spiders in the world who consume 600 million tons of insects. Now, to give you an example of how much that is, all the humans on the planet consume, between just beef and fish, 600 million tons of beef and fish per year. So spiders eat the same weight of insects every year as what humans consume beef and fish on the whole planet. How's that for a fact? Pretty cool, eh? So you can imagine without spiders what the insect load would be like on this planet, and what diseases we would proliferate. So spiders form a very vital part. As horrifying as what they form a very vital part to our ecosystems to maintain that balance. Without spiders catching flies who are vectors for disease, for instance, and other insects, mosquitoes for instance, without spiders catching these insects, we would have a lot more people getting infected by the bites of these insects transmitting these viruses and bacteria. This particular spider is a full-grown garden orb spider. One of the largest spiders that we get here, and one of the two largest spiders that build orb webs, the most complex and sophisticated webs on the planet. I think it's just fantastic. This has been here probably for the whole summer already. I can just see it's just old and raggedy. Very, very nice. Alright, as we carry on with our adventures, while I try and get close enough to one of these birds that is calling so I can actually identify it, why don't we send you over to Tayla, who's at Cheetah Plains.
So we're on Cheetah Plains finally after, well, some interesting navigation that we did. Now we're just about to arrive at 3 in a row pan, where the first animals to meet us are a blacksmith lapwing and 2 Impala rams. Hello, boys. You can hear the blacksmith blackwing. The blacksmith lapwing is not happy with us. Don't shout at us. We won't drive over your eggs, I promise. I wonder where its eggs are. They're super camouflaged. If you're very, very lucky and you look very, very carefully, you might be able to find them. Hello, boys. That blacksmith lapwing. I keep wanting to say lapsmith. Not shouting at the Impala. Definitely not happy with us. But they overreact a little bit, these birds. So we'll just keep our distance from it. Now it is settling down slightly. There's a good birdie. That's better. That is how we want you to be calm. But beautiful birds there. They've got the most striking colors. That black and that white is so bold. A little bit of grey. And also still going to carry on chatting away. Let's go up a little bit further. Let's check these dams. I just want to have a quick squiz around here before we make our way down to the big open plains. Just check that there's perhaps no elephants coming down for a drink. Hey, boys. I haven't seen any leopard tracks either. Liam and I were discussing what we'd like to see when we get here, and I said I wouldn't mind seeing Quarantine. Oh, here's a juvenile blacksmith lapwing. Hello. Funny looking thing. You can see it's molting its feathers at the moment. You are not pretty like your parents, I'm afraid. And if you remember, Jamie actually had these blacksmith lapwing around here. And you may remember them when they were tiny little chicks. They were really small. But as you know, these birds grow exceptionally quickly and triple, if not quadruple in size within just a few weeks. And soon enough, this one will just look exactly like the adults. And it's already moving around quite a distance away from the parents. You can hear they're shouting, though, probably calling the chick closer. But it was pecking on the ground, already looking for its own food. Impala? Boys, what are you up to? Just having a little afternoon stroll? Excuse me, it doesn't seem like there's much going on at the moment around the pans. Actually, the last couple of times that I have popped around here, it's been fairly quiet, which is a little bit disappointing and a bit sad, but it is honestly the most gorgeous day today. Beautiful light, a little bit dull, but it is just so stunning with the clouds. It's not cold, it's not too hot. It is just perfect. I mean, how's that for a scene? And especially with that reflection now of the Impala as he walks on the edge of this little pan. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, right, let's carry on. We're going to keep on going further. I was going to go all the way around to the pans, but maybe we should go and visit Cheetah Plains pan first and start ourselves over there and then keep looking. Last night, those cheetah brothers... Hello, boy. Don't run away. We'll leave you in peace. Impala's just freaking out a little bit, but he'll be alright. It's okay. Like I said earlier in the show, not all animals are relaxed as the others. It takes them a bit of time sometimes to just settle down with the vehicles. So the cheetahs were going towards the Kruger Park boundary, but let's hope that they didn't cross. So we'll go and probably check that the most southeastern boundary just to see if we can see their footprints going over. The roads are nice and soft. There's a good layer of sand on them. So it should be quite easy for us to track. And then if they haven't, my goodness, then we're going to have to do quite a bit of driving around through that long grass to see if we can find them. You saw yesterday how they completely disappeared in the grass, and I didn't see them. If Mike wasn't there, I would never have spotted them. And the only way that any of the guides would have actually seen them is if, I'm sure they must have popped their heads up at one point and given themselves away. Maybe some secretary birds, that'd be nice. I've only seen them once, but that's towards Buffalo Dam. So we'll definitely have a squiz around there. You never know. Let's go. I'm deciding. Let's go here. Let's change our minds. Let's do this road. I haven't driven on this road for a while. I bet we've got lots of hornbills and starlings playing in the road. Let's not disturb them just yet. Yellow-billed hornbills and then some birch-hill starlings. I'm sure there must be some lots of chochos or insects down on the ground. Come on. Eat a beetle for us so we can see how well you can use that beak. No, just going to hop along over the grass. Here we go. Thank you. Very kind of you, Mr. Hornbill. You obviously can speak a bit of English. And there are plenty of little bugs around. They're searching through the sedges, those little green, those bright green plants that you can see. Quite a few beetles, but you just got to look really, really hard for them at the moment. They're not so obvious as they were when we had our first bouts of rain. And don't you love the different ways that the birds move around? I mean, the hornbills are incredible, the way that they run, and then they hop. And then they also do, I'm not going to reenact it, but then they do a funny way that they run as well, when they lift each leg up really high, but sort of individually. You get what I mean, and I'm not going to demonstrate again, because that was far too embarrassing last time. Come on. Maybe we'll get an interaction like I had with the hornbills and the crested franklins, where they were chasing each other around. But I don't know about a starling, how brave a starling is, if it would chase a hornbill around. But this one is very, very busy. It looks like it's seen something. Looks like it was zoning in for a little beetle or a grasshopper. And it must be tough for a bird, spending your entire day searching for your food. Obviously with the big cats, they're only eating every now and then. But the birds have got to continuously search for food. And that's what most of their day is spent doing. I'd say about 70% of their day is spent feeding, and the rest of it flying around and then, of course, resting. They're very busy over there. There must be a little bit of... Let's go a bit further forward. Hopefully we don't startle them. But I'm sure there's some termites there. Let's see if I pull off just to the side. We might be able to get a better view of what they're feasting on. What are you guys eating? Nothing at the moment. They make me giggle, standing and watching these birds. Let's see, it's going to have a dust bath. See how it was loosening the soil with its beak? Come on. Now, often we see them do that. Oh, it's got something stuck on its beak. No, it is going to dust bath. Oh, yes, now we're both going to have a dust bath together. Oh, that's lovely. And that's all now start to suffocate all the mites and parasites that are living on their bodies. Isn't that lovely? But I just love the way that they're able to use those very, very long beaks, almost like a fork, a gardening fork. Loosen the soil nice, and the sand is the best, I would say. It's got the finest dust that comes off it. You can see it now as they sort of flap their wings around and get all the fine dust covering all the dust particles covering their bodies. What have you got in your mouth now? Picking up something. It didn't look like an insect. I wonder if it was just a piece of wood. But it looks like the female is the... I don't know. Maybe they're two boys. No, I think the female is the one closest to us. Her beak is not quite as robust as the other ones, and now pecking the ground. Hey guys, you're kicking up a bit of a fuss there. We've been seeing lots of these birds dust bathing at the moment. It really, really is fun. And then hopefully, I'm still waiting to have a sighting where we watch Cape glossy starlings bathe in the water. That's one of my favorite things to watch. They really are quite comical, the way that they sort of cover themselves and shower themselves with water. But we'll just settle for dust bathing hornbills. Hey guys. And we had amazing sighting. Remember we were watching... Oh, we've forgotten which bird it was. I think it was a hornbill that was anting. So picking up ants and actually putting it on their feathers. And I'd love to see that again too. And I believe that you're all loving this sighting. It is. I could spend hours and hours with hornbills, and I often do. When I go into the Kruger, into other parks, or if I'm just going on a bumble for myself. To me, they're one of the most comical birds out here in the bush. And a lot of people, and including, I'm going to talk about my dad now. My dad hates birding. He's the kind of person that, does, or if we have to stop for another bird, I'm going to die type of thing. That's my dad on safari. He just wants to see all the action, but he likes eagles. We've now got him to enjoy eagles, and I think his favorite bird is actually the secretary bird. He enjoys seeing those, but he also will now watch hornbills, and they are so entertaining. Always busy, always doing something, pecking, throwing something in the air. See, now look, now it's found something else that it's going to pick at. It must be trying to look for caterpillars on the WildEarthTV plants. Let's see if it's going. Yes, it did get one. Let's actually see what it is picking caterpillars off. That's lovely. So we were actually talking the other day is how we haven't really been seeing too many more caterpillars, but you can see those leaves have been eaten. Lots and lots of holes in them. And we've worked out that the caterpillar species that are feeding on the WildEarthTV is, there's a caterpillar right above its beak. Can you see it there? There we go. Well done, Viv. It's lucky. So these are all acria butterflies. Oh my goodness, and if you look very carefully, all these plants are covered in them. Above its head, there's a whole lot of those caterpillars. So this bird is having an absolute feast at the moment. Now, where's your partner? Because I don't think that that's very nice. If you were on date night, you would be dishing up a plate for your love too. But I suppose there's no courting going on at the moment. I think they've done with their breeding. Oh my goodness, you've just missed all of them. You're not a very clever bird. It's something else caught its eye. So, from what I'm learning as we sit and watch these birds too, because we learn as we sit and watch every single day, is they seem to have quite a short attention span. And the smallest thing grabs their eye. It's like sort of like, butterfly syndrome, like what I have. And it's gone from tasty caterpillars, which are full of nutrients and full of fat and make up a great meal, to now pecking at something else. What are you eating? Ants? I can't see the termites, or lots of devil's thorn growing around there too. And it's searching. Go back to the wealth areas. Come on. What else are you going to grab for us over there? See, you are not very clever, birdie. I can't even see where the other one has gone now. It's now disappeared. Liam, would you like a tasty caterpillar? No, not.
Fried and peanut butter.
It's like peanut butter.
Yeah, fried and peanut butter.
If we fried and peanut, otherwise we'll have to find you driver ants to eat because they taste like peanut butter. We'll just we could just saute them a little bit. We could do some chili and garlic.
Don't need to fry them out.
It'll be quite nice. Of course, I don't think VM and I are going to eat any caterpillars tonight. We're very lucky we don't have to be like the hornbills and eat them, and all the other insects we can just eat normal food. There's a lot of flowers coming out again at the moment. It's amazing how it also changes. Everything died out for a bit. Oh, now they're gone. And then all of a sudden, it's like the sort of a second rejuvenation of the bush, and all the devil's thorns have come out again with those lovely purple flowers, which is quite nice. Okay, Hornbills, thank you so much. You guys were wonderful, but we're going to go now. Bye-bye. We're going to keep searching. That was really cool to see that hornbill feasting on the wealth areas, on the caterpillars that were on the wealth area plants. That was lovely. Animal-loving kids, you're wondering what my favorite bird is, seen as though birding seems to be the common theme throughout the day. Stef has obviously been looking for them. And I don't think James has spotted any birds just yet this afternoon. My favorite bird, VM, you also have to think of your favorite bird. Mine has to be, I would say, a secretary bird. My all-time favorite, the Sagittarius serpentaris, is one of my favy gravy birds. I haven't seen them in such a long time, barring the very quick sighting that we had when we started the series that we had with Nat.Geo Wild at the beginning of the year. I saw them very quick one afternoon, but I used to see them on a regular basis down on the southeast coast, so on a game reserve called Karicha. There were many pairs that were actually breeding. They were breeding on top of the currants, the risses. And we used to see chicks. I've seen them catching lots of puff adders, taking on Cape cobras, and it was really amazing. They always provided with the most fantastic sightings. And they prefer lovely open areas. So we never know. We're going to the right spots. We're going to Cheetah Plains Open. That's got lovely tall grass. We might spot them. I'm sure that they will come back eventually.